They say the way to enhance American greatness is to move people from the low productivity public sector to the high productivity private sector. They want to destroy the government.
We need to talk about this fork in the road email that was sent to nearly every single federal employee, although postal workers and other workers involved in national security are exempt from this email, even though they received this email. A new sector of the federal workforce that was exempt from this offer, quote unquote, is newly the air traffic controllers. I wonder why that is. But so here's the email that was sent to basically every single federal employee last week. I'm not going to read the entire part of it. I'm not going to read the entire email. It's rather long, but I want to hit some highlights. They talk about how during the first week of his administration, President Trump issued a number of directives concerning the federal workforce. And they say that the reform of the federal workforce will be significant and will be built around 4 pillars. 1, return to office. The substantial majority of federal employees who have been working remotely since COVID will be required to return to their physical office spaces 5 days a week going forward. We also expect our physical offices to undergo meaningful consolidation and divestitures, potentially resulting in physical office relocations for a number of federal workers. Now, this is kind of confusing because if you're going to be bringing people back into the office, why are you going to be divesting ownership of these buildings from the federal government? Is the plan to pack federal workers into smaller office buildings like sardines, or is the plan to sell off federally owned properties to landlord leeches who will then be able to bloodsuck off of the federal government and collect rents instead of the government owning these buildings? I'm not totally sure what that is. We've also talked about how the return to office stuff is so ludicrous. We won't dive into it more here, but you can check our previous coverage of it. I also said there will be a performance culture. The federal workforce should be comprised of the best America has to offer. Put a pin in that for a moment. We're going to come back to that later. The federal workforce should be comprised of the best America has to offer. That's an interesting sentiment. We'll come back to that momentarily. The third is a more streamlined and federal workforce, blah, blah, blah. They just want to be able to attack federal workers willy-nilly. And fourth is enhanced standards of conduct. The federal workforce should be comprised of employees who are reliable, loyal, and trustworthy. What does it mean to be loyal? Who are we to be loyal to as federal workers? It does not say. But with the actions of the first administration, one could be forgiven for interpreting that as meaning loyalty to Trump rather than the mission that you are hired to execute, or loyalty to the Constitution, or loyalty to the American people. Continuing on in this email, though, it's important to point out that they say each of the pillars outlined above will be pursued in accordance with applicable law, consistent with your agency's policies, and to the extent permitted under relevant collective bargaining agreements. Continuing to emphasize the importance of all workers, but particularly in this moment, federal workers, as we are at the tip of the assault on the working class in the country. We are going to be facing these attacks first as federal workers. It's important for federal workers to organize. And a lot of these attacks, again, even admittedly in this email, can only be carried out to the extent permitted under collective bargaining agreements. You need a union, and you need a union contract. So they continue, and they say, If you choose not to continue in your current role in the federal workforce, we thank you for your service to your country, and you will be provided a dignified, fair departure from the federal government utilizing a deferred resignation program. This program begins effective January 28th and is available to all federal employees until February 6th. If you resign under this program, you will retain all pay and benefits regardless of your daily workload and will be exempted from all applicable in-person work requirements until September 30th, 2025, or earlier if you choose to accelerate your resignation for any reason. The details can be found below. There are some details here, and it includes a deferred resignation letter that you are to send if you want to resign. It says, please accept this letter as my formal resignation from employment with my employing agency effective September 30th, 2025. Effective September 30th, 2025. This is being framed as a buyout where you get 7 months of pay for not working. Importantly, nowhere in this email, nowhere in the attachments to this email is a guarantee of pay of this being a severance package. That is nowhere in this email that you would be replying to and agreeing to the terms of. I would not take this because it is not iron. I mean, just for that reason. We'll get into other reasons you shouldn't take it. But just for that reason, this says you will retain all pay and benefits regardless of your daily workload. That does not say you will not have a daily workload. The only guarantee here is that you will be exempted from all applicable in-person work requirements. It does not say you will not have to work. It does not say that. It just simply doesn't. Further, in the FAQ, now there is a FAQ that says, will I be expected to work? And it says no, but that's just in an FAQ. That is not in the document that you are responding affirmatively to. Further, it is probably not legal. Although, of course, in this environment, that doesn't really matter, apparently, whether things are legal or not. But the American Prospect points out that the executive branch has no authority from Congress to offer a mass buyout to federal workers. In fact, the OPM website, the Office of Personnel Management website itself, clearly states that the limit for incentive packages for voluntary resignations is $25,000. $25,000 is far less than 8 months of pay for the average federal worker. Further, and like I was alluding to with this language in the email, Trump might stiff you. Trump has done it with contractors. In fact, there was some reporting as to the reason why Trump was so often in outside venues during his second campaign. One of the reasons for that is that he stiffed so many of the venues during his first campaign, right? So Trump very well might just not follow through on this. He has done that in the private sector, and so did Elon when he fired a bunch of Twitter employees. In fact, that fork in the road email was modeled on a similar email that was sent to Twitter employees when Musk sent it out. He offered a very generous, or kind of generous, severance package to Twitter employees, and he did not pay it. He didn't pay it. And courts have found such.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Okay? Further, here's another reason you shouldn't take this offer. The OPM has, in their frequently asked questions about this, that it says a question, can I get another job? They say yes. I'm going to continue reading momentarily. They say yes, but the OPM does not have authority over ethics guidelines in individual agencies, and many individual agencies have ethics guidelines and policies that say you cannot have other employment full-time at all, or even part-time without the consent of your employing agency, not Office of Personnel Management. So if you accept this buyout and then you go and get another job and it turns out that you don't have to work for 7 months, which is, again, still up in the air, if you take that and then you get a second job, you could be like, there could be problems with that. There could be problems with that. But here's another one. We're continuing on with this answer. Can I get another job? They say yes. The way to enhance American greatness is to move people from the low productivity public sector to the high productivity private sector. Folks, they want to destroy the government. They want to destroy the government. Okay? I don't know how else you could put that. This contradicts, it contradicts what's said in the email that the American government should be comprised of the best America has to offer. Should the American government be comprised of the best America has to offer? Or should we be moving people from the low productivity public sector to the high productivity private sector? What a load of freaking BS. BS. It's just so, it is so insulting to the men and women who serve the American public that they say that these people who are now in charge of our government, and we'll talk about who these people are in a moment, but these people who are now in charge of our government are saying that way to enhance American greatness is to move people from the public sector to the private sector, from the low productivity public sector to the high productivity private sector. That is a load of garbage. And if you work in the federal government, you should be insulted by what these people think of you. The federal government is the largest employer of veterans in the country. Some 30 to 40% of all federal workers are veterans. They think that these people are low productivity people. They think that there is no role for government. Now let's talk about those people who have taken over our government. Here's more from the American Prospect. Elon Musk's associates have apparently taken over the Office of Personnel Management, according to a rundown from Wired and a Reddit post by somebody claiming to be an anonymous OPM staffer. The chief of staff, Amanda Scales, worked for Musk's AI firm. A former Tesla and Boring Company engineer is a senior advisor. Memos written by the OPM had metadata revealing authors as Project 2025 authors and conservative think tank veterans. The previous chief information officer was reassigned just a week into starting at the agency, apparently because he wouldn't set up this distribution list to all federal employees. According to the Redditor, there has been set up a separate server that looks like it's coming from OPM. At least 2 other OPM officials with Musk ties were so young, one just graduated from high school last year, that Wired chose not to name them. Here they are. Here's Wired's description of these 2 young OPM staffers. According to the same sources, other people at the top of the new OPM food chain include 2 people with apparent software engineering backgrounds whom Wired is not naming because of their ages. And that is freaking insane. I don't give a damn how old these people are. If they are at the top of our government, we should know their freaking names. I don't care if they're 16. If they have authority over the whole government, we should know who the hell these people are. Okay. One, a senior advisor to the director, is a 21-year-old whose online resume touts his work for Palantir, the government contractor and analytics firm co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel, who is its chair. And again, a 21-year-old, he's 21. He can drink alcohol. Why are we not naming this guy? The former CEO, again, this is Peter Thiel, the former CEO of PayPal and a longtime Musk associate. Thiel is a Trump supporter who helped bankroll the 2022 Senate campaign of his protege, Vice President J.D. Vance. It's important to remember J.D. Vance is just a Thiel plant. He would never be where he is without his billionaire backers. This is the other young guy that Wired is not naming. because he's just a little boy, even though he's in charge of OPM. The other, who reports directly to Scales, graduated from high school in 2024. Graduated from high school in 2024. This kid is 19 or 20 years old, according to a mirrored copy of an online resume and his high school students magazine. He lists his jobs as a camp counselor and a bicycle mechanic among his professional experiences, as well as a summer role at Neuralink. This is insane. I mean, I love bicycle mechanics and I love camp counselors, but you need a little bit more experience to be running the largest employer in the world, the U.S. federal government. It's just ludicrous. Here's another person at the Office of Personnel Management, Andrew Closter, a self-described raging misogynist. He also used to sign up for his ex-Twitter account. The email that he used to sign up for his Twitter account appears in a leak for an escort service website. The IP address for the escort service website account is in Washington, D.C. So we've got this raging misogynist who is utilizing escorts, another senior attorney at OPM. Love it. That's just awesome. And so let's get back to, again, do we want America's best and brightest serving in the federal government? Is a 19-year-old kid who graduated from high school in 2024 and whose previous professional experience includes being a camp counselor and a bicycle mechanic, is that the best America has to offer? What happened to DEI? As far as I can tell, the attack on DEI is just so that these people can get their toadies in office. And that leads me to the final reason the federal workers should not resign. That is because America freaking needs you. If you leave your job, then some freak whose only qualification is that they worked at one of Elon Musk's companies for 3 weeks is going to be in your job the next week. And we need people who actually give a damn about the job they're doing, who actually give a damn about the American people and the mission to be in these positions. So you should not take the offer because it's probably not legal. He very well might stiff you. And America needs you. The unions representing federal employees are echoing those sorts of sentiments, saying that you should not, for all of those reasons, you should not take it. Further, you need to get involved in your union. You need to find which union represents you. You need to find which union represents you, and you need to join it. If you are not a part of a union, if your workplace is not unionized, you need to get with one of the federal unions, and you need to unionize it. And so there you go. There you go. Don't resign. All right. We got one more segment that we want to run through really quickly before we wrap up. Adam, anything really quick?
Yeah, just get involved. If you are a federal worker, do not give in to fear and hype and division. It's time to organize with your coworkers, get to know them, stick together. Don't give in to this nonsense. I mean, this is pretty classic sabotage, and, it's unfortunate because folks want to loot the public treasury and sabotage public services that folks depend on. A lot of people can be negatively impacted and will be negatively impacted, but it's going to be up to us to organize and push back. I understand there are folks who are cheering what's happening and think it's great. And, I'm just not sure what planet they live on. But, I think you hit it. People have to get involved with their union, and it's important that you get involved now. With these threats happening, it's important you get involved now.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free
to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.